is that embarrassing as a goalie if you, as a tandem, finish the year with no shutouts?
What's up, and welcome back to the Crude Oil Podcast. It is the Devin Dubnyk episode number 40. Sean, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Pretty fitting that it's a goalie named podcast this week.
Yeah, definitely a correlation there. It's funny looking at the other numbers there of the five players in Oilers history that have worn 40, three of them goaltenders. Not really shocking, but we're gonna get into lots and lots of topics around the Edmonton Oilers goaltending this past week. It's rare we have so many good things to say about this, hey?
I mean, in terms of good things to say about goaltending and defense overall, yeah, I think that's pretty rare this season.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. Let's just put it that way. So since we last recorded, the Edmonton Oilers coming off a 2-0 record. Both those games can't even bury the lead here. Both shutouts. I don't know what I have done since we've last recorded, but I'm trying to wear the same clothes, trying to talk the same, record at the same time of day. Like, did you expect two shutouts in the last week?
I mean, I was hopeful that we would get a shutout this season, considering we've had none. So that was a little embarrassing to be one of, I think, two teams who hadn't got a shutout yet.
Yeah, it's funny because after Skinner got his in the first, I think it was Principe just asking him about the anticipation of it, but he had mentioned that him and Campbell both had kind of a running gag the entire season about who's going to get it, and oddly enough, in back-to-back games, they both get their first.
I was going to wonder if that was in the back of their heads at all in terms of like, is that embarrassing as a goalie if you, as a tandem, finish the year with no shutouts?
I don't know. I really don't know. And especially finish like where the Oilers are projecting to go right now in terms of the standings. Like it's pretty wild. Lots to dive into. Let's start with the LA game. Obviously Skinner top of mind. I don't think you could look for a better game out of him in that game. A lot of things stood out. The way the Edmonton Oilers, that might have been their most complete dominant game of all season. I mean, I looked at Boston, but that entire game was so tight.
Well, that was easily a picture of what's to come if we play LA in the first round.
Yeah.
I think LA is a much better team than they were last year. But to be fair, I think we are a much better team than we were last year.
I think that's a fair assessment. I know that the Oilers, like, they kept mentioning going into the game how this is going to be a definition of what the playoffs are going to look like and that they have to focus on it. And from the drop of the puck to the last minute, it was absolutely, a complete team game. And there's so many things to touch on. Obviously, we have the Skinner stuff that we'll get to in a minute, but Mattias Ekholm just paid his entire salary that last couple of minutes of the hockey game.
Man, that is the quintessential what I want to see out of our defensemen, even if they have a stick or not. That level of desperation that he was playing with there, considering they had a 2-goal lead as well in the dying seconds of the game, it was pretty crazy to see him pretty much throwing his face in front of any passes across the crease.
Yeah. The thing I have to keep reminding myself is we still have this guy for years on end. This is not a couple games and done. I think what we're seeing from him, and obviously the records, I think the Oilers 13-2 since he started playing for Edmonton, but 13-2-1 or something crazy like that. This is a guy who's going to make people around you better, and I think it's evident right now with our defense.
Oh, for sure, and I think it's obvious what he's done for Bouchard. He's pretty much just done similar to what Keith did for him last year, but on steroids essentially. Bouchard is playing out of his mind, playing with Ekholm, who's playing out of his mind, above what he was doing in Nashville, too. So yeah. I think it might say something about the team as well, that we're able to help him elevate his game, not him just helping us elevate our overall game.
Yeah, totally.
And then, then there's the Nurse and Cece pairing, which has played fantastic as well.
Yeah, I didn't want to lose sight of that because we have bashed on CC a little bit over the past couple weeks. But yeah, I just think it's a product of having all these guys starting to gel together. And I mean, when you surround yourself with better players and players with more compete, like it just wants you to put that much more effort into your own game. So very evident of what we're seeing so far. Another thing of note in the game, long awaiting. I honestly didn't see Connor McDavid being the last of the three getting to 300, but he puts away his 300th goal with his entire family in the stands. And I don't know if there's more of a brother lookalike that are not twins than what we saw in Cam McDavid during the intermission.
I think I've seen him before, obviously, but I feel like he looks more like McDavid now than he ever has. I don't know if it's the beard or what it is, because they grow identical beards. So they're not the best beards in the world, but they are identical when it comes to facial hair. And I think that is really what was drawing out that comparison in my eyes, where I couldn't not see no name brand McDavid whenever I saw him.
Yeah, it's a great point, because that's the first thing that I noticed too. Coming from a guy who can't grow a full beard to save his life, like as soon as I saw that, I was like, that's what it is. That's exactly what it is. But it was funny to just see it, floating around the social media the next day. But it's kind of cool to see his entire family in the stands for such a cool moment. And of course, the Edmonton Oilers getting the 2-0 win. We got to give some love here to Stuart Skinner, because it seems like every single time the Oilers finish a game, there's some sort of milestone that's being completed. Skinner setting the Oilers franchise record with 10 wins in a single month, beating Mike Smith, Tommy Salo, Grant Fuhr, and Andy Moog, who are all tied with 9. This is a guy who's still statistically considered a rookie, Sean.
I mean, he's certainly making a name for himself in terms of the Calder Trophy race, though, to be fair, it might be a little bit too late in the season to be making that run, outside of maybe getting some votes through recency of bias. And I only say that because I think Logan Thompson has better stats. But I could tell you Logan Thompson did not win 10 games in a single month.
I mean, it's hard to look at Skinner's stats and really, downplayed. He's got a case. The only thing that I think gets kind of pushed back is he's been in that little bit of a lull for the last 2 months. But like we had mentioned last week, if the Oilers are starting to, get together and start playing the best hockey of all their entire season right now, what more could you ask for? Fuck the trophies and stuff. But you know what I mean? Still, if things are on the upswing, this is a sign of things to come, man. It's crazy.
Well, it's a great time of year, like you said, to be peaking. The only thing is, you would certainly hope that it's not peaking, 6 games too early. Because obviously you want them peaking this month and next month and the month after that. But I think they're really finding their game, learning what it takes to, they can play offense with the best of them. They're the best offensive team in the league. And now I think they're learning how to better defend as a unit and really limit those high danger chances on their goalies that seem to be crippling them all this year.
Yeah.
And I just hope they find a way to bring it around and keep this consistent. Maybe we can keep the shutout streak alive for as long as we can.
Yeah, and we say this recording here right before the LA game, so you'll probably be listening afterwards. Again, fingers are very much crossed for that one. But just to tie a nice little bow on this, it was not April Fool's. Stuart Skinner named Rookie of the Month, posting a 10-1-1 record, 283 goals against average, and a 908 save percentage in the month of March. Stats aren't lying, man. The stats are not lying. All right, jumping into Saturday night, the Edmonton Oilers facing the Anaheim Ducks. I'm not going to lie to you. An 8 o'clock game on a day that I was already tired against Anaheim was not something I wanted to look forward to watching. But I missed the first, I want to say, half of the game, and I tuned in to see it 4-0. Kind of went how I hoped it would go. I don't know about you.
Well, it's certainly the way I hoped, and honestly, it was the way I expected it to go, too. I know Anaheim really ran Edmonton shit earlier in the year in the one game they played, so it's nice to see them keep a crappy team like Anaheim in check not let them fly off the handle a little bit offensively and really batten down the hatches, both defensively and through goaltending.
Well, and it's funny that you mentioned that because like when you look at that game against Anaheim and look at the team that was playing there, it's a tale of two different teams. Like Edmonton was not playing, the kind of hockey, not even the same echelon of hockey that they're playing right now.
Oh, it wasn't even remotely the same. And I think the team has, like I keep saying, they've found their game defensively, and I'm hoping they can maintain that going into the playoffs here. And I don't think anybody can really run with Edmonton when it comes to if they have solid defense. I saw a couple memes floating around after this game where it was Happy Gilmore being like, "Uh-oh, Oilers learned how to play defense."
Yeah, there's a lot of people that are starting to, in the hockey community on Twitter that I'm starting to see being like, okay, are the Oilers for real? Like, they're not exactly hiding as much anymore.
Well, certainly not. I think they're becoming, they were probably a little underrated to go throughout the year, and now they're starting to, I think, reach their potential. Yeah. What people thought they were going to be, which was like, oh, this team's going to run away with the division this year. Like, their team is unbelievable offensively. They might have some defensive and goaltending shortcomings, but they'll be able to outscore that. And to be fair, we were doing that most of the year, but it was almost insurmountable how poorly our defense was at the beginning of the year and then our goaltending was in the middle of the year. And now everything's kind of patched and we're just dominating teams.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of think of the lulls, like you can try to outscore teams as much as you want in the regular season. I just don't think it's a long-term solution, especially heading into playoffs. So it's nice to see that aspect of the game getting better right now. And the back end just really quietening down. But just before we leave the Anaheim game, definitely some milestones to touch on. Jack Campbell getting his first shutout, as we mentioned, and then we have Leon Draisaitl getting the hat trick for 50 goals. It's I think the third time they mentioned that he hit 50 goals, and the other two were on the road. This is the first time he's ever hit it at home. To hit it at home on a Saturday night on a hat trick, like, that's amazing. No?
Oh, it was awesome. I loved every second of it. And I found it really funny because before the game started in the pre-game coverage or whatever, Ron McLean was like, Draisaitl sitting at 47 goals, just needs that hat trick for 50. I think he's going to do it tonight.
I love when they're like half kidding about a prediction or something that'd be like completely outlandish and then it actually comes to fruition. It's just like, it's the hockey gods, man.
Well, he's thinking, he's just like, I want this to happen on my program because it makes us look better. And then Draisaitl just goes and does it. As soon as he scored that first one, that's all I can think about. And then the second one, I was like, oh, it's happening. There's no way he's not getting the hat trick.
Yeah, so I tuned in I think I saw his second goal. And from there on out, like, you could just, when you tell that players are on a mission, like, there's no stopping them. Like, it was one of those games, man.
To be fair, he did say in the post-game interview, he was like, I was trying a little bit harder than usual to get that third one.
Yeah, you're up that much at that point. It's more of a personal mission at that point. Yeah, so we're sitting here. We've got some other stuff to touch on, but let's just take a sense check where the Edmonton Oilers are at. We're sitting here with, 5 games left, and Vegas finished up last night. So between Vegas, LA, Edmonton, we've all got the same amount of games. The only exception, Seattle's got 1 game in hand. I don't really see Seattle catching, so I see it as a 1-2-3 horse race in the Pacific, all separated by 4 points. The Edmonton Oilers schedule looks like the easiest of the bunch right now. Like, what is your expectation of finishing first? The Oilers, granted, right now, down 4 points to Vegas in terms of the standings. What is your expectation?
Here's what I'm thinking. Looking at Vegas's schedule, they play Nashville, LA, Dallas, and then Seattle twice to close out the year. I would say between the 3 teams, they have the hardest schedule. And yeah. I think any statistic would probably show that those 5 teams are better in culmination compared to all of the other teams that LA and Edmonton are playing. But LA's schedule does look fairly equal to Edmonton. I know we play San Jose twice, but they play Anaheim and Vancouver, as well as Colorado, which we also play. And then they obviously play us tonight, but they also play Vegas.
Right.
So I think this game and Thursday's game against Edmonton and then against Vegas will be huge for LA to determine where they finish in the standings. If they lose both of those games, I think LA finishes third for sure. And then I think we could catch Vegas considering the quality of their schedule. I know we're down by 4 points with only 5 games left, but I could see Vegas going like 2-3 in their last 5 games and us winning all 5 of them in theory. Like obviously that's a big order to answer there, but I think they could do it. And I don't know if I'd put my money on it, but I definitely think that Edmonton can do it.
Okay, I like the positivity. I'm going to take it a step further. If the Edmonton Oilers can beat Vegas tonight, LA tonight, and on Thursday, LA can beat Vegas, all in regulation, both games, put the fucking gas to the bandwagon. We are going to win the West.
So when you say win the West, you are also using the other division as well, correct?
I am also using the other division.
So I guess we are technically ahead of all the other teams in the other division. However, Colorado does still have 7 games left. But I think I would agree with you if we beat Colorado, and I think it's LA beats Colorado. Yeah, LA plays Colorado. If those 2 games go our way in terms of Colorado losing, yes, I believe we could most definitely win the West.
Just putting that out there. Good juju. With that being said, though, I'm gonna turn it into a little bit of a different question here because it got brought up. I was having a chat with one of my buddies, and they were mentioning what are your thoughts about Edmonton's playoff situation? And I'm gonna use the word that everybody fucking hates in the NBA. But workload management. I know it's a different sport. I know that we've seen it in the past, but there's a lot of players that are on cusps of like insane records. You look at McDavid with the salary cap era goals per season. You look at like all the other paces that other players are on. Is there any chance of the remaining 5 games that you see Nugent Hopkins, Draisaitl, McDavid sat out?
The only way I see them sitting games is we are out of the race for both home ice advantage and first in the division. And did I say A already? B. I was like, I forget how to spell.
1
and B. The points race has to be like completely out of it. Like I know Draisaitl hit 50, so that's a check.
Yeah.
Nuge has to hit 100 for him to rest. And I think McDavid will have to probably break like Ovechkin's salary cap era record for goals for him to be willing to sit. He seems the type of guy that you like, do you want to sit? And if he's healthy, he's going to be like, get fucked, I'm playing.
I mean, he's 3 away to tie, 4 to win, and Nuge is 3 points away. So, I mean, we have a couple power plays in the next couple nights. You never know. But I think that kind of makes sense. Realistically, what would be your thoughts? Because my opinion is if you're going to sit someone, especially heading into playoffs, I think maybe if, like you mentioned, if you get to those things, I'd kind of prioritize sitting the guys that are going to be like minute munchers, like guys like Darnell Nurse, like maybe a Matthias Ekholm, a lot of those guys that are going to be eating heavy minutes in the playoffs. I don't know. What's your thoughts there?
One thing we have to consider is the potential cap implications of sitting guys. Because we can't bring people really up because we don't have the cap space until the playoffs start.
Mm-hmm.
Where cap is just a idea and a concept and nobody gives a shit anymore. With that being said, like I could see Nurse or Ekholm sitting if they're A, tired, and B, they want to get Broberg some more time. I guarantee Broberg plays at least 2 of the games.
That was going to be my question. Yeah. Do you put him in for one of them?
Yeah, I could see that. And then in terms of forwards, like, I don't know if Draisaitl's nursing anything of any kind still, but they might consider sitting him because, like I mentioned, he's already kind of hit his milestone for the year. So, like, I don't think he's probably against sitting, especially if he has any sort of nagging injury of any kind.
Yeah.
But I would definitely think that they would consider sitting people who have nagging injuries. And the only people who would not get sat, like I mentioned, would be Nuge and McDavid, barring them hitting these milestones that they're looking for.
Yeah. Those are the couple that I see. And I mean, the other ones that, kind of the regulars, the Hymans, the Yamamotos. I definitely think Yamamoto needs to play the rest of these games just to get his legs, back. He's just starting to get back into the groove. I don't think you can pull him out. Switching from the race of the Edmonton Oilers just kind of to the bottom, looking at the wild card situation. Currently, with 5 games left, you have Calgary that's 2 points out, and then you have Nashville they got a game in hand, granted, but they're currently 5 points out of the second wild card spot, which is held by Winnipeg with 89 points. Of those 3 teams, Sean, like, which one is going to make it?
Well, I think you would probably want to put the money on Winnipeg because they're already in 2 points up, same games played as Calgary. The only thing, well, actually, Winnipeg is on a 2-game win streak now. They've kind of broke through that wall that they were hitting.
Yeah, tough stretch for them.
But I really, and I mean I really, do not want to see Calgary make it with 15 overtime losses.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's just embarrassing for the NHL in general. If a team can have like that many losses and sneak into the playoffs, essentially because of it.
I'll have to check and see what it was last year, because it has got to be like they have had to have had like at least that last year.
Oh, for sure. Like there's something with Calgary and sucking ass in extra time that they just can't seem to break. But yeah, I just like seeing Winnipeg have 43 wins and Calgary have 36, and Calgary being above them in the standings would just look stupid to me. Like, yeah. I just don't understand. I would like to switch to the 3-point system just so I don't have to look at these like double-digit overtime loss scores that teams have. Like, and to be fair, Edmonton is at 9, but like, it's just something else. And I guess Dallas is at 14 overtime losses.
It's still a lot of extra points there.
Yeah. Well, like getting into the playoffs with essentially less than 40 wins seems a little crazy to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. Just taking a look, wrapping up with a couple different topics that we've got here. You saw the team photo stuff from the Oilers yesterday?
I did see the team photo.
Yeah.
I am a little bit confused as to why they put the goalies on the edge. I don't know why they did
that. Was new too. Hey.
I don't know if that's in previous photos, but it just feels like the goalies are just pushed to the outside, like they don't matter, like they're not one of the most important parts of the team.
Yeah. Because isn't Ken Holland like squished more towards the middle than Jack Campbell? Like, it's...
Well, yeah, Holland and Woodcroft are in the middle of the team.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, the goalies are on the flanks, just like minding their own business. It just seems a little bit odd to me. I don't fully understand it, but it's really cool to see like the team as a whole. Would have been really funny to see Yamamoto beside Desharnais. I wish they would have done that. But interestingly, I don't know if it means anything in terms of the leadership core, but they have Nuge in the middle beside McDavid and not Draisaitl, which I would have expected.
Yeah, that was interesting. I caught that. That was one of the things I noticed. I wonder if it has to do like a seniority thing or what, but I noticed that. And then just some of the comments. I don't know if you saw some of the ones that were just sitting in there, one being with Desharnais like pointing out. And if you've seen the photo, go take a look at it right now. The comment was, believe it or not, Desharnais is not on a riser right now.
Just standing on the ice, towering above everybody.
Yeah. And then the other one being like, it was an ISO shot of Ryan Murray being like, when you didn't show up to class and still got an A on the project.
Where
A
even
little.
is Ryan Murray in this photo?
Think in the second row off to the right hand side.
Oh yeah, there he
But
is. Now I see him.
yeah,
Yeah. The only thing I could think of was clearly the photographer, when they took this photo, told
yeah.
everybody in the front row to spread your fingers and put them on your knees. And it looks incredibly unnatural and throws me off super hard.
I didn't even look into that detail, but now that's gonna bug me like crazy.
That's all I could see is everybody's fucking fingers.
In other news, Dylan Holloway back from injury and Bako starting to light it up, man. 5 games, he's put up 4 points on a 4-game point streak as well. Like, is he? I don't know. I'm not going to say it, Sean. I'm not going to say it. I'm going to say it because we're recording the. No, I could definitely see him being the Black Ace. He definitely needs to be called up, but the Edmonton Oilers, just in the past, have had such a reputation for having guys that put up massive points in the AHL and then just not being able to crack it up at the roster. I'm not saying that. I'm not fucking saying that Dylan Holloway can't crack it, but you just saw how many games it took to put up the point total that he has in Edmonton. Granted, he's getting way different minutes, playing with different people down in Bako. It was interesting to see someone go right back to Bakersfield in the AHL and just light it up again.
Well, it just goes to show the quality of player he is. To be fair, like, if we had a little bit better of wingers, say for example, like Puljujarvi played better when he was here, or Yamamoto didn't get hurt, or Kane didn't get hurt, I think Holloway probably should have spent the year in the AHL after playing a few games at the beginning of the year, because he did earn a spot at the beginning of the year. He played
that's true.
Great in the preseason, and he was very noticeable in the first few games. But I think he kind of overstayed his welcome a little bit, in air quotes, because I just think he needed to play more quality minutes against more not similar competition, but the ability to gain some confidence.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna transition this one to you, because I didn't even see this article, but it's nice to see and kind of hear Ales Hemsky starting to open up about his life during retirement. You said you caught another article in the Czech Republic, correct? Czechia, I guess that's the right way to say it now.
Yeah, essentially there was an article released in some Czechia website. I don't know for sure. I'm gonna put it into English right now and see if it actually gives me anything. It just says sport.sk, so whatever that means. But anyways, it was a little bit of I would say a darker look at Hemsky's post-playing career. Essentially, he lost all of his direction in life and contemplated like suicide, for example. Even though he had a wonderful family who loved him, he had millions of dollars from playing hockey, but he was injured through his concussions and had issues with that, with vertigo and dizziness, and it was just making his life miserable. And it just goes to show that just because these players are where they are and making millions of dollars doing what they love, it doesn't mean that that's the be all end all. Sometimes you just aren't all there, and it's hard.
Yeah. The sad thing is knowing how much he dealt with his concussion issues and how much kind of that head trauma impacted not only his playing career, but more so his life outside of things. That's why it's really, really tough. Just with all the stories that have kind of gone around in the NHL with players with CTE or any kind of resulting head trauma. That we've got this darkroom situation now, and it's one of those things that when a player that gets hit has to go into the darkroom, answer some questions, take 10 minutes, get evaluated. It's tough in the moment to understand and be okay with it, but there's a reason for it, and you never like to hear stuff like this. So good on Ales for coming out and bringing it to the forefront. It's good to keep this kind of topic forefront because I mean we're still learning so much about these concussion injuries and the lasting effects they have on players.
Well, and at the same time, it could be incredibly like eye-opening to a lot of other players when they retire and they're feeling similar things as like Hemsky is or has felt, and they realize that it's not the end of the world. You'll find a way around it, like things like that, and help them push through it a little bit, maybe. Because I think that's obviously a common thing that NHL players struggle with, regardless of CTE or anything like that, which is finding a purpose after they retire.
Oh, totally. Yeah. Yeah, that's why it's kind of nice to see a lot of the people jumping into media, or if they're getting into hockey or whatever, as soon as they're finding some kind of different passion. I know there's a lot of players that start up businesses, or just as simple as coaching their kids' hockey team. Like it's cool to see, like, just keeping themselves busy and finding that way to give back or to help out wherever they can. Yeah, but that being said, let's just finish up here on a couple different topics. I want to talk scoring race, and I want to talk Calder Trophy odds, Sean.
Alrighty, sounds good to me.
You pick a topic.
Let's start with Calder Trophy odds.
Let's go Calder Trophy odds. All right, just released earlier this week. I don't know if I'll ever gamble on shit like this. This is more of a risky thing for me because I've seen it go so differently in so many years. But I mean, the odds are out there. Matty Beniers, the odds-on favorite. You've got Mason McTavish at plus 800, Cole Perfetti 1600, Owen Power, and the last guy I'm going to get to, Stuart Skinner with plus 2500. Do you think Stuart Skinner can get up there into the top? He's in top 5, I guess, right now in terms of favorites. Does he get up within top 3?
I think he could get up there if he started like the rest of the games and ran like 1 goal a game at the most in all the remaining games. But to be fair, I do think his plus 2,500 that he has is recency bias. And also these odds are based to a degree off what people are betting. So I think
that's true.
After he got that shutout, a lot of people were like, okay, let's put money on Skinner to win the Calder. Because if you look, for example, like he's had a great season, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But like Logan Thompson, for example, has very similar stats for a goalie as he does, if not slightly better. And somehow Logan Thompson's at plus 7,500.
Well, that was going to be my question to you is, do you agree with that top 5 to begin with?
Well, like obviously Matty Beniers has been fantastic. I think he probably wins. And then I would probably personally put like Owen Power second and maybe have Jake Sanderson a little bit higher. But outside of that, I don't follow a lot of these teams too closely. So I don't know how great Cole Perfetti has been. I know like Mason McTavish is on an absolute ass fucking Ducks team. So like maybe he's just on there because he's doing well relative to his teammates more so than he is in the actual NHL as a whole. And ultimately it's kind of a crapshoot this year. Nobody is really running away with it. Matty Beniers is considered to be quote unquote running away with it just because he was the favorite going into the season and he's done pretty well. He's at something like just over 50 points in 70 something games.
Yeah, he's definitely a special player.
For sure. But ultimately, I don't necessarily agree with the way the odds have doing it or are setting it out because it is very recency biased. And I don't know if I'd put money on Skinner winning, but I do think he will get some second place votes, some third place votes, and maybe a first place vote, but it will probably be wrapped around bias, I assume.
Yeah. I couldn't have said it better. I think there was a lot of emphasis on him at the start of the season, but I mean, there's stuff for Owen Power as well, Mason McTavish, but I think he's the there's a reason he's the odds-on favorite to win. And then just wrapping up with the scoring race again, a 5-game out check-in. We'll see. We'll probably record after the next 3 Edmonton Oilers games, so we'll get a better sense of where we're at. But Connor McDavid sitting 146 points, Second place is 26 fucking points behind him with Leon Draisaitl. And then behind him, you have another 14-point gap with Nikita Kucherov. Like, this is insane, dude.
I don't understand how he has a 40-point lead on the next like non-teammate.
Right?
That is batshit insane.
Yeah, absolutely wild. And then sitting down in 7th spot, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. 97 points. Is there any chance that RNH gets like one MVP vote? Just one.
MVP? Probably not. Like, maybe he gets like a couple Selke votes or something like that. But like, I don't see MVP votes only because like, how are you the MVP behind McDavid and Draisaitl? Like, I even hear some people being like, "Oh yeah, like Draisaitl gets some votes." I'm like, will he? How is he the MVP in any world outside of like McDavid? I don't understand that at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of arguments for Ryan Nugent-Hopkins to put him higher than where he's at in terms of the value that he's put on for the team. I mean, you look at his penalty killing. He's got the 3rd highest shooting percentage in the entire league behind McDavid and Draisaitl. But yeah, I don't know. I just asked that question because I just feel that there, especially with the local media, there's a little bit of a push to, give Ryan Nugent-Hopkins a little bit more notoriety than he seemed to be getting this season.
Well, unfortunately, he's kind of drowned out by McDavid's 146 points. As much as we love what he's been able to do, like other people don't even realize because they don't look past the top 5 scoring leaders on the like TSN or NHL like source page for scoring, where it only shows the top 5 for each category.
Yeah, definitely.
But just looking at these points overall, like I think McDavid's running away with the goals as well. He's 6 goals ahead of Pasternak, who has 56. Obviously, he's pulling away in assists as well with 84, and I think Kucherov is closest with 77. So
crown, baby.
Impressive to see Carlson up there at number 10 as a defenseman with 95 points.
Yeah, no shit, hey.
And
especially on that team.
Oh yeah, like maybe that's part of the reason why he's doing so well is nobody else can score, and it's the old adage somebody on the team has to score. So like if it's not going to be Thomas Hertl, it's pretty much Erik Karlsson, and there's nobody else on the team. It's also pretty cool to see Pettersson having a great year after having a really off year last year. I do like him a lot as a player.
Yeah.
Then I don't know if it's disappointing or what to say about it, but it's still pretty impressive, is Matthew Tkachuk with 102 points already this year playing in Florida.
Do you think Calgary regrets that trade yet?
I think they regretted it the first month probably of the season when Huberdeau was dog shit and still is.
Tough. But as we transition out, the Edmonton Oilers facing LA, the game's gonna be done as you're listening to this episode. So hopefully everything went well, Sean. We had a great game. I'm just manifesting this right now so that I don't have to deal with the mentions afterwards. But Edmonton, next time we record, will have played LA. They'll have played Anaheim, and then on Saturday night against the Sharks.
Ooh, Saturday night. No, it's Saturday afternoon.
Oh, did I? Seriously?
2 p.m., Greg. Another 2 p.m. game.
Well, we got an 8:30 start tonight, so I'll have to deal with that.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch one period and record it and watch the rest tomorrow.
We'll see you next week.